Ciao everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the SUPERYOUMAN Podcast. I am your host, Renato Capasso, and together we will talk about the latest biohacks and scientific discoveries that will turn you from a human into a superhuman. And it all starts now.
Hello, my dear bagger friend, and welcome to this new podcast episode with Jean Fallacara, or Giovanni, because this actually has an Italian background. And I was so happy to have a biohacker on the show that has an Italian background, although he lives in the US or in Canada, and he was born and raised in France. John is one of my favorite guests. He has so much energy, and the guy does so many things, like founder of Cybergains, he wrote Neuroscience, Calisthenics. He runs Biohacking magazine, which is a magazine that, by the way, I really recommend, even because I wrote a piece of article for them. But coming back to the interview, this is an interview that you really want to listen until the end, and I'll try to summarize everything in this intro. But basically, we talk a lot about neuroscience and neuroplasticity, and although we touched those topics with Kyla in one of our previous interviews, we take a different angle here, and we use neuroscience and how to hack neuroplasticity and neuroscience to have unlimited motivation, and also to hack your happiness through neuroscience and neuroplasticity. And I know it sounds a little bit woo-woo, but once you listen to the episode in the end, it will all make sense. We also tap into its daily routine, and that was something that really inspired me in a lot of ways. And I invite you to go and check it out on Instagram, Jean Fallacara, if you don't follow him yet. The guy is over 50, and he looks like in his 30, so he must be doing something very right. His energy is amazing, its knowledge, it's amazing. And also we touched something that I really am excited about. We talked about gadgets, and that's why I founded Cybergains, right? He always tried these different biohacking gadgets. We talk about a lot of gadgets, and out of those, we talk about one gadget in particular that can increase your neuroplasticity and so your capacity of learning a new skill, including motor skill, like including a skill on a sport, or how to get better in a sport, or in certain movements, or how to play piano, and so on. And it's amazing. And also several other gadgets, and honestly, it's mind-blowing. I know I'm talking a lot, so just enjoy this episode. I also want to take this opportunity to share with you something that we are creating. It's not even better. It's just a Facebook group that I invite you to go. It's called Biohacking, Buy and Sell Worldwide. And the idea is to have a Facebook group where biohacker can buy and sell those amazing gadgets worldwide. So go and check that out. But for now, sit down and relax and enjoy this amazing interview with Jean Fallacara. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time to make this. You know, we had the little intro chat, and I've got the feeling I could have been chatting with you forever.
Me too.
Yeah, and I want to start this podcast saying, if I'm allowed, your real name, because I'm proud to have finally a biohacker, an Italian background biohacker on the show.
Of course.
Jean Fallacara, but Giovanni Fallacara as well.
I love it. If you say Gianni, my mother is going to be even more happy.
Okay, so Signora Fallacara, or your son is Gianni for me. It's not Jean. Welcome to the show, Jean. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. I'm gonna be honest with you. I got in touch with you. So I found out about you thanks to a post from Melanie Avalon a while ago. She was on one of your magazines. We're gonna talk about it in a second. And she posted a magazine, and then I did some research about you. I said, "Wow, this is great." I got in touch first with Biohacking magazine, and then I found out about you, who were the founder, and then I follow you up a little bit. I said, "Wow, this is great! Like this." I need to have this guy on the show. And that's why I've contacted you. So I've done a fair bit of research about you. And we're going to talk extensively about you and what you do and how people can take advantage from the things that you have discovered. However, for people who don't know you, would you like to share with them a little bit about you and what you do?
course. Thank you, Renato, for having me on this show. It's an honor for me to be here. So very happy to be part of that. And thanks to Melanie. She's fantastic. She's a great friend. Who I am. So most people will answer your question by say what they do instead of who they are, really. So I'm going to do it the way that most people will do it. I'm going to say first what I'm doing, and then I'm going to tell you who I really am. What I do, I am a scientist. I just sold my company, and I work for a big company in the United States based in Boston. The name is Intest, and I'm a managing director there, acting for that in biomedical and life science. On the other side, I've been a serial entrepreneur my whole life. I've created about 11 businesses, sold, bought, merged, lost sometime, won. So I've been an entrepreneur my whole life with the background of science. I've studied first biochemistry, then genetic. Then I went to biotechnology. And after that, I got bored in my life and I went back to school to study neuroscience in general. And in between both, actually, I studied a bit of law and finance. Law, it's because I was in trouble with law, with lawsuits for businesses. So I wanted to understand what was going on. And finance, it's because in business, you need to have finance. And neuroscience, it's because it's my passion. In late my career, I wrote a book called Neuroscience Calisthenics. We're going to talk about it. And this is about my general life, I would say. And recently I acquired the magazine Biohacks Update that you were referring to. And I love working with these guys. They're passionate, and I am as well. And there is a mission behind it that we will talk about. Now, who I am in reality, I'm a guy that loves to learn. Suffer ADHD, was called ADD when I was younger, but I've been diagnosed late. I'm passionate about everything I do. I love science. I love extreme sports, as we were talking before. And I have a daughter. She's 17. I have a wife. And I'm somebody that puts passion in everything it does. That's who I am. Now, sometimes I can be a procrastinator as well, because everyone is. And I love doing sport and pushing body to the extreme. I hope that circled everything.
Yeah, look, that's a great answer. And I start, I love that you started by saying, who you are rather than what you do. That's actually very funny. And I know that's not very biohacking related, but I think it's worth mentioning. Even on interpersonal relationships, here, this is something that I always say to my friends and colleagues. When I meet someone new, I don't say, the first thing that people tend to say is, "Oh, what do you do?" And I think,
who cares?
Yeah. Okay, who cares, right? I think we should change that. I think people should not be obviously people are defined from what they do, but that should not be the only thing. So I do love that you started by saying that who you are rather than just what you do, even though what you do is amazing. But yeah, so a great answer. It's funny. I have to say, I'm very excited to have you on the show, even because, I love interviewing people like you. I had the same feeling when I did interview Melanie. I love interviewing people with
oh, she's my mirror.
yeah, like he's.
Yeah, totally.
It's when I did an interview with her, I think we talked for we locked in 1 hour. We went for almost 2 hours, and we could have gone for hours. Like, she's just very passionate, and it's great because I especially on the podcast, I love having people with passion that love what they do. And oh my gosh, you've done so many things more than I even.
But I'm older than you. That's why.
Okay, that's another thing. I have to start with that. And I don't want to sound like materialistic, but guys, because this is an audio podcast, we're doing video because I think it's more, when I record podcasts, I do videos because it gives more, better flow.
Yeah, I agree.
But the podcast is actually just audio for now. Guys, just go and check him on Facebook, and see his pictures. He's 50. Do you say 53?
Shh, don't say it.
Okay. Okay. I
Yes. Cut.
I am the rudest. I am the most rude podcast guest. I always ask the
Perfect.
age of all my guests, including women.
Yeah.
I've asked Melanie's age.
Yeah.
But just because, when I see that someone just looks like is doing something right and he looks like 20 years younger, I think he has to be shared because that gives people that gives people confidence and encouragement. And it's not about look, but I think you must be doing something right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And one of the answer I recently, I always give to people asking my age, because on Instagram there's many people, hey, how old are you? And I always go like, if you're good in that, you can do this calculation. Take my mental age, add my biological age, then take my telomere age and add my paper age and divide by the number I just gave you, the parameter. And you're going to get my exact age. And if you make that calculation, actually it works because my mental age is very low. It counterbalances everything.
Man, and that's the most important thing. And that's exactly when I say go and look on Instagram and look in the video, I mean also, you talking and you doing things, because it's so refreshing to see, like, you haven't like, I talked with you and I talked with you before. Obviously, we don't know each other well, but one of those things that you can tell, like, you got the same energy of like a late teenager just got out of high school, they start in life, and that's amazing. And that's things what I meant. And that's very inspiring. It is for me, at least. Great to know that
but I think that it's important to stay, when you lose being a teenager, you lose the ability to play. So this is where it's ending for everything. You lose your creativity. You need to stay a kid and be able to play and to dream. Otherwise, what is life for?
How do you think? Okay, I just don't know. That's noise plan, but how do we think we do that to stay in? Because for some people, comes
in that mental state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, it's very simple. The first thing is when people ask you who you are, reply by who you are and not your business card. You're not your freaking business card. You're not your phone. You're not your car. You're not your wallet. You're not your house. You're not what is around. You are you. This is the first thing. If you are you, you are capable of dreaming. If you're capable of dreaming, you stay young and you stay a kid. As simple as that. And then you are creative. And if you're creative, you can see the world in a different shape and not be under the governance of rigid structure that brings nothing. You have to be wild. You have to be punk in your head and your behavior. You think some things, you say it. You feel some things, you have to say it. The politically correct makes people sick and makes people old.
Did you say the politically correct makes people?
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because totally agree. Sometimes I use that exact word with people. It's like, guys, let's stop being too much politically correct. And just ourselves, which doesn't mean we are just right all the time. We can be wrong and being ourselves. But
you have the right to, if you express yourself, you're right in the way to express it. So when I use politically correct, it's because I want it to be polite. But most of the time, you know what I'm saying? I say, cut the crap and get to the point. That's it.
That's that's absolutely true. Yeah. And it's good. Okay. That's a little bit of insight for me as well. I've asked because, sometimes I think on that we're very similar. I feel very I love to learn. I love to do different things at the same time. And some people ask me, "Oh, how do you do the I have an SEO agency, right? An SEO agency."
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
I've organized a TEDx. I've done a couple of things, not as much as you, but I'm a bit younger. But I've done a few things right at the same time. And sometimes people say, oh, how do you do all those things together and so on? And for me, like doing multiple things powers the other, because they keeps the enthusiasm real rolling.
Exactly. And one pulls the others. You can do different things. Like you can do a TEDx, which is very serious stuff. Mm-hmm. You can do marketing, SEO, which is more into the creative mind, and you do podcasts on the side. But when you look at everything, it has to have this line of creativity all around to make it achievable. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And some people, they cannot do it because they're just focused on one thing. And outside of that, they're out of their comfort zone and they are scared to death and they just don't do. So you have that punk attitude. Keep it up. You have to keep that attitude. It's the best.
That's great. And I think another important message that you shared is that, that you said you had some problems with your company. So you said, you know what, I want to understand what's going on. I'm going to study law.
The best, you're always best served when you know what is going on. If people tell you things, of course, it may be true, but maybe they have their biased opinion. It's not an arrogance. It's not arrogance to say that, but if you understand everything, if you learn everything, and if you're good at, you cannot be good at everything, but if you know enough on everything, you're unbeatable. Point.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And now we are so lucky. We got so many resources. It's not like before that the knowledge is just hidden in 4 walls of a uni of an institution. Now we got, anyone can learn anything. And I think there was something like you need 50 hours to be not an expert, but to be
100 hours, the 100 hours principle.
The 100 hour thing,
to become an expert based on the learning, because that theory was actually derived from some neuroscience studies. They were saying that when you want to learn music, after the 100 hours of practice, you're going to be an expert, but it's all changed. You don't need that anymore. You can be an expert in 20 hours.
Okay. All right. So how do you do that?
Well, you have to train your brain in the proper way and make the most of your neuroplasticity efficiency, like using your brain in the optimal stage and using your brain in the proper way that you're going to retain information, use it as it is, and put it in the drawers that are connecting one to each other. Because, there's many people, they throw saying just because they read a book. This is not knowledge for me. This is reproduction of what you've read somewhere. Is that your opinion? No, It's not your opinion. You're telling the opinion of the writer of the book. Creativity is different. Is having you read that book, you don't get all this information, but you read something else, you've seen something else, and you connect the dots. And connecting the dots allow you to express your own opinion based on some knowledge that you acquired, but that is your real opinion and real thinking, your real thought. So many people are just thinking behind others. They're not them. They don't express their thought. They express others' thought. It's time to change that.
It's true. And, I think feel free to disagree with the author. Sometimes authors, most of the times they write great content, but feel free to disagree with authors sometimes. And,
absolutely. And make your mind, make your opinion. It's important. You are a person. You have not evolved so far. We're this species. We're still animal, but we're the most advanced species. We didn't go that far to become robots and reproduce what other things. We have to be free, spirit and mind.
That's a very good message. For people who are listening, I guess, some people know the terms, but for, people ask me, sometimes, there are certain terms, explain what it is. Most people do, but for people who don't know what neuroplasticity is, do you like to explain what it is? And then maybe we can go on how to hack neuroplasticity.
Of course, that's very good. You know, for a long time, people have always science actually brought to the public that we were born with certain numbers of neurons, and we were dying with with less neurons, and our neurons were made in a way that they were connected, and nothing was happening like other than I'm looking there, I'm triggering these neurons, and this is it. When you get old, neuron dies, and that's why you become some sort of potato or or vegetable. That was the old theory. Neuroscience came in the portrait and explained that actually our brain is plastic, is hyperplastic, is superplastic. And every day, every single minute, with the tons of information we accumulate and we get into our receptors, whatever they are, skin, eyes, smell, our brain changes and makes different connection, eliminate some connection, create new connection, create new neuron. And the more you create connection, the more your pathways in your brain with the neuron kind of big highway created there is efficient. So our brain being plastic, it's been called neuroplasticity. This is what? And neuroplasticity, when you think about it, if you're making new connection, you're creating new memory, new skills, new development. So if you are able to master that neuroplasticity in a way, you are able to learn better, faster, and more efficiently. So this is the old concept of the neuroplasticity. And let me just put that on the side, creating neurons. So we're not dying with the same number of neurons we were born, or less than that. Every day we create new neurons, because when you're learning something is new, because of the neuroplasticity, neurons are firing together. You create new neurons. This is called neurogenesis. And most of the time it happens during the night, and your brain is creating new neurons. So your brain is changing all the time. It's adapting to the future, is adapting to the current situation, is adapting to what you've learned and to what you received. And we have to exploit that. It's the best, it's the most fascinating things on Earth. A computer cannot do that.
I love the concept of neuroplasticity. And I tell you why. You know, when we are kids and when we're young, you can pretty much adapt in any environment and not having that a big issue. I'll give you a practical example for people to understand. So let's say we all have or most of us have our perfect routines in the morning. We wake up, we do, in my case, light therapy and then meditation and go for a swim, pretty good. But then, something happened. We go, in my case, we go to Europe at your parents' house, and all of a sudden you don't have your, red light therapy, or you're in an environment where you don't do your routines anymore, and it feels like a massive issue. It feels like you can't perform as well as before, or you're not in your environment, and it takes a while to adapt. Contrary, when you're a kid, you are a teenager, you can pretty much adapt to circumstances like
you sleep in cars, you sleep outside. Adult, you cannot sleep in a car anymore. Yeah.
And on a learning perspective, you are a kid and you can actually learn way faster than someone else. See with languages, see with the motor skill, like a sport and so on. And does that has to do with a better neuroplasticity?
Absolutely. So you made a fantastic example there, because teenager and kids, their brain is not finished. Our brain is almost like set up by the age of 22, 25, something like that. So kids, they have this plastic brain naturally. And the younger they are, the more plastic it is, the more connection they're making. And growing old, actually, we have less neuron created naturally, and our brain is more steady and static than it was when we were kids. So yes, definitely. And remember, teenager, frontal lobe, the cortex that makes your thinking and decision making is not finished at all. They have a very plastic brain. Yes, totally on point.
Is there a way for us to increase our neuroplasticity as an audience?
Yeah, there's a lot to do for that. And part of the routine you're doing on a daily basis actually increase neuroplasticity. One of the best tool that you can use to trigger neuroplasticity is definitely meditation.
Okay.
It's known for that, and it works very well. And you put your brain in a phase where it is able to make the connection, to be plastic. Sport is one of the best as well. Doing sport, activity, moderate activity.
Yeah.
Sometimes high interval training can work as well, but moderate activity is a fantastic one to trigger neuroplasticity. Then there's a lot of tools that you can use for that. And the technology is going further and further and further now.
I would love to talk about tools for a second.
Okay.
I'm very curious. That's me being very selfish. Sorry, audience. But
No, I love it. I'm a gadget man too. I'm testing tons of products at this time. And one talking about neuroplasticity, I'm Neurovizor.
Okay.
This is crazy.
Okay, what is it? Would you mind to unbox it?
I'm going to show you. Okay.
Guys,
that's a prototype. Yeah, it's a prototype. I'm going to explain you.
Okay.
When I started to optimize neuroplasticity for my trainings, I was using Halo Neuro, that headset, with transcranial direct stimulation, and I loved it. Honestly, it was making fantastic results, and it is true, and there is white paper on it, that it was helping neuroplasticity. And I was curious to see what else helps that. So, of course, light stimulation can help, and binaural sounds help also neuroplasticity, and the pattern of using EEG as well. But this is fantastically new, and it's a concept that is derived directly from neuroscience. Here's how it works. Okay. You put this on your head, you have headset, and it's a mix of 40 hertz binaural sounds and light stimulation. The light stimulation, you have your eyes closed, but when you close your eyes and these lights are following certain pattern, they create a psychedelic environment. Whoa. In 10 minutes, 11 minutes, I guarantee you, I get into flow state, or if my mood is too low, I raise my mood to, and this is like, of course, it's neurotransmitters, but the action of that works. It works super well. I'm just on my few days of trying. I started this weekend, but the few sessions I've done, I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And I went to my daughter and I go like, okay, she's 17. And I go like, Noe, this is the only drug that you're going to be allowed to test. This is crazy. Yeah.
Okay. So, stuff like that makes me, I want to put my hands or something like that. But I want to open a bracket for people who are listening, because you mentioned a couple of stuff that I think are worth being highlighting. Guys, Jean, or can I just call you Gianni? Is that okay?
Yeah, Gianni, sì, ma come no?
Perfetto. It's so good to have you in Italian on the show. So, Gianni mentioned before the Halo Neuro Sport. And they've done the 2 as well. Now the 2 is available. It's a device, it looks like a headphone set. Like an headset. And you guys can wear that while, for example, training or while playing piano, for example, and increase your ability. I'll make it simple. It increases your ability to learn a sport or a motor skill. So a motor skill or something. Is that correct?
Yeah. The Halo Neuro Sport, actually, the 2, as on the top of the headset, it has a small kind of band with peaks that has to be wet. And what it does is sending a very tiny current into your brain, located on the top of your brain. So that current, electrical current, triggers the neuroplasticity. And the sound, you can put whatever you want as sound. They didn't mix and match with binaural. Actually, it would have been a very good thing. Helps you to trigger neuroplasticity. So this is called the priming, neuropriming, they called it. So you do it actually when you warm up, and then your brain is plastic for about 60 minutes.
Okay.
With that.
All right. Technically, you do that. You use it for X amount of minutes, 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20. I think it was 20 or 20 minutes or 30 minutes. I don't remember. I think it's 20 minutes. I still use it time to time. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can do your learning, motor skill or playing instrument and so on, and it basically increases your ability to learn, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The other thing you said is binaural beats.
Binaural beats are like it is proven, like white noise and all these things that goes into your ear. But binaural, I was working with a company named Andal Sound. They've been doing a lot of research on sounds and binaural sounds, and so they put you in a mood where you can do meditation, you can do focus, you can do hard work, creative work, and things like that. Those sounds have the particular ability to be, I think it's between 35 and 50 hertz, if I don't make any mistakes. And they're called binaural. It's because they go from one side to the other. They're not at the same time in both ears, and they're like you're hearing something's here and something's different on the other. Something's on the right is different than something's on the left here. So it triggers some sort of creative thinking and neuroplasticity as well.
That's great. Would something like, for example, Brain FM would do that? Do you reckon?
Yeah, Brain FM has some binaural sounds. Absolutely, yes. It's an equivalent. So far, I've found that Andal is a very serious company. They pushed to a limit where it's complex enough to be used almost scientifically. Brain FM, I would say it's more generic, but it's very good. It's based on science as well. Anyway, so yes.
What's the company you mentioned before? Not the Brain FM, the other one?
Andal, it's ENDEL sounds. Okay. They're from Germany, actually.
Okay, and are they an app? Or
it's an application, and it's kind of, I've tested all of them, and I always come back. I don't work with them anymore, and it doesn't bring me anything to say that, but I love science, and I always bring the real facts. Andal was probably for me the best providing service for binaural sounds.
And I'm going to put all, for guys listening, I'm going to put all links in the show notes for them if they want to check it out. I'm going to ask you another question. Sorry if I ask a lot of questions in the question, but I'm actually curious to dive deep into it. So with binaural sounds, right? I remember, I might be wrong, you need to change the frequencies and the sounds with a certain frequency, because after a while, your brain can get accustomed to it and it doesn't work as much. Am I correct? Or
Not really. Actually, you need, of course, our brain, in different stages of the day and at night during your sleep, it goes through different waves, brain waves. So those binaural, yes, if you hear always the same sound, is just the effect goes away, but it's going to take you a long time before that happens. So it's always better to vary that source. You are right. This company, another one that BrainTap uses binaural sounds in their application, and they're very good at doing all sort of stimulation that goes from meditation calm to something very active, like you need focus, you need energy to be creative or to work. So they change the way it is, and they have a huge list of playlists of different sound that you can use, or even with the Dr. Porter talking about over the music sometime.
Yeah, nice. Nice. And so BrainTap, this one is, right? BrainTap?
Yeah. I love that company. And Dr. Porter is a fantastic person to listen to. I'm intrigued about he's always saying about the wave of the ocean and the vibration. We are energy. I take that from him, actually. So the combination of energy from the planets and our energy and putting them in phase at the same waves put you in a mood that you are going to be in the perfect shape for everything you do in your life.
That's so interesting. That's amazing. But going to the device you were saying. So first of all, for the guys, a quick before you talk about it's like psychedelic effect. I just want to say to the guys, I've done an episode with Kyla Hosterhoff. I'm not sure if you know her.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
And we talked about be a neuroscience, neuroplasticity in a different way, and
she's good.
Conscious versus subconscious mind. And at a certain point, we talked about for a little bit about psychedelic and how they can be a tool to hack your subconscious mind. So for guys listening at psychedelic in a controlled settings, there is a huge literature now about psychedelics. Again, I don't invite to use them, for but in a controlled setting.
Yeah. Exactly. You have to be on a controlled setting and environment. And I think that the proof is that you look at the John Hopkins studies in America about psychedelic is probably the leading the way. When they give doses, they are exact doses, not like on a balance on a corner of a table and things like that. It's really in certain condition. One of the company that is doing very well in that area, it's Psychedelics. They do the delivery of psychedelic through a very interesting process of science, like going through the blood-brain barrier with certain transporter. So they know that the dosage is going to the right target. All these, I've never tried psychedelic. I'm very intrigued, but I'm a control freak of my mind, so I'm reluctant to do it. But I think that it could be something very nice. I've read today that Canada is even going in a way of treating obsessive compulsive disorder with psychedelic. One sure thing, again, from John Hopkins research is PTSD will definitely be treated with psychedelics. It's going there and it's going to be FDA approved very, very soon.
Yeah. I'm exactly like you. I'm a bit of a control freak. I love to be in control and so on. But on the other end, I'm so happy to see that literature is evolving because if that happens and it's evolving, that means there is more controls and more regulation about it, because it can be a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
But that device. Now I'm going back to the other, that cool gadget with
Neurovizr. I'm bluffed by that thing. I was really not expecting that to be so efficient. It's the first time that I'm literally looking at it and just like, damn, this is crazy. And the guy, Danny, who they're a group of researchers, but they designed it. And I was talking about Halo Neuro, and I was talking about BrainTap, and he goes like, Jean, you have no idea what Neurovizr is if you're trying to compare to these tools. This is like a scientific research-driven prototype I'm using. But honestly, if I have to get you to try it, you don't need any drugs. Honestly, it's better.
Do you think it will be available to the public sometimes soon? Okay.
Yeah, they already sell the prototype the way it is. It's quite expensive. I think they sell it in Europe, and it's about 1,500 euro for now. Okay. So it's going to be available to the public. They're going to come up with the final version. I'm lucky enough to test the second generation of prototype. But this is something that is going to drive our future, because honestly, with all this COVID situation and everything, many people are suffering of anxiety, depression, and lack of confidence or lack of motivation. I just said 4 parameters, but those 4 parameters are all treated in a way by this. So why not bringing to the society tools that allow people to be more happy? Happiness is the secret of everything.
Yeah, and especially if you can do it safely, that's
it. Yeah.
Win-win.
Yeah.
it's very exciting, and I think that connects. Every time I get a guest on the show, before getting a guest, I have a little wire list people, like a small group, where I say, hey guys, I got this amazing guest. I know what I want to ask, but do you have any question for them, for him or her, depending on the guest? And everyone said by watching your your website and your Instagram and so on, and that's, you kind of answered by talking about this device, but I'm sure it's not the only thing. Is that they said, how can you hack being on a flow state, right? You always talk about how to be in a flow state, which is very, very important. When you're in that state, you just get a lot of things done.
Everything is done, and without even having the perception of having it done. The flow state is truly a superpower. Most of the time, people get into flow state without knowing it. You get there by accident, or because you're doing something that you're so much into it, and you get into flow state. Imagine that you were able to trigger your flow state by yourself, to prepare yourself to get into flow state. Renato, I tell you, I can be every single day that I live in flow state when I decide and how I decide to be. And I can stay in that flow state for over 45 minutes in a row.
That's a big advantage.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I think that there is a big part due to preparation and mindset and triggering your brain in a certain way. I'm going to explain a couple of details with you to give tips to people that are listening and ask this question. So thank you for the question too. And probably another part is due to my ADHD problem, where my mind can be everywhere, but the ability or the faculty of some people having ADHD is this hyper focus that is almost natural in certain thing. So I have that faculty combined with a protocol that I use when I want to really perform and be in flow. So if you want, I can just describe what I do when I want to be in the flow and let's pretend that we are in a situation where people doesn't have access to Halo Neuro or gadget and technology that I have. So you can get in the flow by simple preparation. The first, start by breathing techniques. You have to control your breath. You have to put your mind the same way that you put your mind when you do meditation, outside of everything related to your environment. You detach yourself from your thinking and thought. And on the second stage of that, so I practice meditation for a couple of minutes. Let me go back. I drove back. Okay, I wake up. The first thing I'm going to do is making sure that my neurotransmitters are aligned in my body. First, to be able to sleep at night, and second, to be able to function at day. So I need to go outside. I need to have my high receptor activated. I need sunlight. This is the first thing to do in the morning.
You wake up, you go out right away.
That's it. I wake up, I drink water. I activate my body with a bit of stretching, and I go out. And I go out cold or warm or whatever, but I need to have this natural light because the windows cut down the lux that you require for that. And I prepare my brain for having the right neurotransmitter in my body to be in equilibrium and to be able to sleep at night. This is the first thing. Then let's pretend I want to go work out and I want to be in the flow. So I'm going to prepare myself by doing 10 minutes meditation. You don't need to meditate for 2 hours, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, depends on the days. And you start preparing your training by warming up and stretching and breathing. Control your breath. Put your attention on some things. You know that flow is often related to visualization. Your vision won't trigger the flow. Our eyes, our brain, it's part of our brain outside of our skull. That's it. That's all. So your eyes will trigger a certain way that your brain is probably going to be going into that flow. So it's simple. You look at a lot of points. So your flashing in a certain way information to your brain. Your brain will select the one that you need, the one that you don't need. So you look far away, you look close enough, far away, close enough, varies, and change your environment. Then I start by handstand. Okay, everybody cannot do handstands, but if you cannot do handstand, just put yourself against a wall, but make sure that your blood goes to your head and your head is reversed, because your brain is not used to be on the opposite position. When you get your head down, your brain is screwed up totally. If you open your eyes and you're down doing handstand or whatever, but your head down and you look 180 degrees, I guarantee you that your brain is starting to be hyperactive. It's triggered. So you warm up, you do your handstand, you keep going on your deep breathing, and then I do something. And it's a simple thing. I fix 1 point, just 1 point, and I put my eyes into a single spot. It could be a rock, it can be a pen, it can be whatever, but on that point. And I keep my vision there until my mind goes almost away thinking of something else or nothing. At the same time, I can have binaural sounds on my ear or my best trance orchestral music. It's proven by studies that trance orchestral music triggers a certain flow in your brain as well. So combine all these factors together and you'll get your brain into a mood that you're going to be, soon you're going to be in that transition of flow. So music, fix the point, your brain will soon focus, hyper focus on what you're looking at. Of course, no phone, no talk, no disturbance from anything. And when you get into the phase that you feel that you're going to be able to accomplish what you want to do, you think about what you are going to do. You visualize. So you put imageries into your brain of what you are going to achieve. Your brain doesn't know the difference if you're doing it or you're just imagining it. So it's preparing to do it and is trying to register what you're going to do. And then you go into the movement and you're getting in that move and you practice and sometimes fail, but learn, but stay in that focus. Most of the time, you're going to be in the zone, and you're going to be in that zone if you have the strength not to be disturbed. And every time that you finish to do one move and you walk in a way or another, to look at your phone or talk to somebody or somebody else. When you get after a couple of minutes and you feel that it's moving around, you know what you do? You close your eyes and you walk.
Okay.
Eyes closed, you walk. And you walk backwards. Same. Then you open your eyes, you revisualize around and you fix a point again. Those triggers, those small tips trigger your brain to really focus on what you are doing. And hyper-focus, gets you in the zone. You get disconnected and you achieve things.
And you are still outside, right? When you do that, you do the move.
No, you can be in a gym.
Okay.
You can be in a gym. It works the same way. You can be. I've trained in the gym, surrounded by many people with before COVID, and people were just like, "You're different when you're training. Your eyes look different." Of course, my eyes are not looking at you. I'm not talking to you. I'm in my zone. And I don't want to be disturbed. So I had the advantage during COVID to be at my cottage up north. I was alone with the lake view and everything. So the flow is even easier and I was outside. But you can do it in a gym. You can do it anywhere. You can even do it if you train in your living room, you can do it in your living room. Of course, anywhere.
Yeah, no, I've asked because I was trying to kind of translate it in, everyone on a busy work schedule, they need to go to the office. But everyone can do, like, you wake up, don't look your phone, go out,
or on a balcony if you have, but better out and you move.
Yeah.
And then let's say people don't have time to get prepared to go to work. They come back home, they do their handstand, or they, then you say you fix 1 point, right? For a while. With or without binaural sounds or orchestra. And then you say movement. For movement, I know you are very into calisthenics and so on, but for movement, do you think any type of movements could do, like yoga? Or
well, basketball player can be in the flow. Football player are able to be in the flow. Runners are able to be in the flow. Marathon as well. And anything you do with a moderate or an activity that you're doing and you're moving, and you can be in the flow, isn't working. Not just movement. Let's say you want to be in the flow and you don't want to work. You can be in the flow by your creativity. When you do creative marketing, you can get into the flow the same way. It's the same. You know, Renato, you said something very interesting. People have to go to work and they don't have time. I think that you are the master of your own life and you decide what you want to do. Some people say, I don't want to wake up. I have no time. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. You're going to have time to go outside and take fresh air. Or you don't have time to meditate. What do you do? You're sitting on your couch. You're scrolling down your Instagram. That's it. You are the master of your life.
As a marketer, I can tell you people spend, those are actual numbers. They spend on average, those are averages. So they can be lower, but they can be higher and even much higher. They spend on average 5 hours a day on social media. On any engaging social media. It could be YouTube, TikTok, and Google.
Way too much.
Yeah, so 5 hours a day. You can definitely fit in 5 times or even 6-7 times the routine you just mentioned.
Completely. Yeah, completely. Yeah. You know what? I have an alarm set on my social media activity from my phone. 1 hour and 30 minutes. If I exceed 1 hour and 30 minutes, it rings and he warns me. I think, and even at 1 hour and 30 minutes, I feel it is a lot. It's way too much. The influence of information we're getting, and shitty information most of the time, the influence of information we're getting from everywhere, those things, and it's not good. And don't put your phone in front of your face before going to bed. You're not going to sleep first. I don't watch TV. I hate that.
Agree.
Yeah.
Look, I think watching your phone, social media, and I use it for work, and I have my pages, so you do, and so on. However, I think people need to be mindful about the following things every time, and that's on your phone in general. And obviously there are other things, but every time there is like a notification, a message, a WhatsApp, a page, so you are stimulating your dopamine receptors and your dopamine level. And what that does on the long term, he has an impact on your motivation. I'm very big on
anxiety. Raising up. Yeah.
And I'm very, very big on that. One of the topics I stress enough about any episode is that, sometimes there are days that people feel not motivated to do. Some days things are easier, some days they're not. One of the reasons is it's a alteration of the dopamine either levels or dopamine baseline, and your phone is screwing that. And the other thing, you tend to stimulate a lot of negative self-talk. As people, they post, for example, on Instagram, their best moments. And while you see their best moments, someone at the beach, a training or doing a TED talk, whatever, while you are, on your couch, you subconsciously or consciously, you say, oh, damn, I'm lazy. I should be here. I'm missing out. And that's definitely not healthy. So reducing.
Sending the wrong signal. Well, you're in marketing. You've probably seen that awesome picture where you see an apple in front of a mirror. So you see the apple, it's super shiny in the front and beautiful, but in the back there is a bite and it's all rotten. And this is social media. This is so true. People are spending time on social media looking at how many this guy has followers and likes and comments, and is doing that better than me, is stronger than me. I'm not going to post that. You're sending wrong signal. And about your baseline, as you said, one other thing, caffeine in the morning. Most people wake up and instead of going outside, they go to their coffee machine and they take a coffee. Delay your caffeine intake in the morning. It's important as well.
Gianni,
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It sounds something like very simple and very basic. This is actually very recent for me. As you can tell, like, I'm Italian. I got my espresso. I love coffee. And, I know that sometimes I need to take caffeine breaks, and I do, but for me, it's a ritual. I don't take caffeine because I feel I need a lift up. I just love... I could take even a decaf. It's fine. Just a lot. It's a ritual. It makes me happy. But one thing, maybe you might know the exact dynamics behind it, but one thing that really has made an impact on my overall motivation is a very simple thing. All right. So before getting my reward, in this case, my coffee, I need to get some tasks done. I need to make my bed. I need to empty the dishwasher. I need to do some movements. I need to do my meditation, and only after. And I need to be in touch with my mom and so on. I've been, after what happened, I've been, strained in relationship. So I need to do, anyway, that's my case, but I need to do certain tasks or certain things before I get my coffee. And it's different. Before it was, okay, I get my coffee, so I get my task. What I think that subconsciously or chemically is doing, it's regulating better the dopamine system and the reward.
Yeah.
And it has an impact on everything I do during the day after.
And on your sleep as well. One of the tips that I could give on that is when you wake up, so you open your eyes in the morning, you're still in your bed. Before jumping out of the bed, take 5-10 minutes to visualize what you're going to do during your day. This is super important. If you and I've always said my whole life that people go, you're an entrepreneur, you're successful. Well, how did you manage to do that? And it's a funny story, but it is a true story. And you're going to see why it's a funny story. Mm-hmm. So you visualize when you open your eyes what you're going to do during your day. You decide on 2 or 3 points that you are going to achieve during your day for your reward system. But when I put and listen to that, it's Italian. When I put my right feet on the floor, and right is important. Yeah. I put my right feet on the floor. I know which decision I took for the best decision. One decision for the day. This is the one. And I've done that my whole long life, old as I am now, every time. So right foot, it's because it's luck. Left foot shouldn't, it's the reverse. But I wake up every morning since I know how to walk, putting my right foot on the floor first. With an ID. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you by the way, you haven't lost your Italianness. Is in your blood. It's great.
No, you can't. It's impossible. You're going to be killed by la mamma, see, if you do that.
Yeah. No, signora, Gianni, it's Italian. I can tell it's Italian. So one thing I really, really wanted to ask you, like, what on this, because I know it's, I like to talk and ask question, but I want to make sure I cover this topic. I want to talk about your book, and you talk a lot about like basic principle behind. You mentioned something like neuroscience, calisthenics.
Yep. Skills acquisition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And would you like to tell me more about that? You talk a lot about the neurobiological effect of your training. And this is, for me, something new or unusual to hear. So I'd love to hear about that.
Okay. So, most people, they train to look good, not to feel good. They feel good after, but they train to look good. They lift weight or do things. They don't even know a couple of tricks based on neuroscience. I'm not asking people to study neuroscience or to study science, but just to get a kind of understanding of what they're doing and how they trigger it. When you decide to do some things, everything comes by thinking about it, executing visualization, and doing movement and repeating it and everything. So it's the brain motor cortex that is involved. Okay. If you understand that even moving a finger is related to a electrochemical reaction that starts from your brain and gets to your finger. If you understand that, and the impact of moving that finger can be dramatic or can be as just irrelevant. When you want to do a sport, if you train efficiently, knowing basic principle of neuroscience, you can actually increase your performances. And this is what is neuroscience calisthenic. And I said calisthenic, but it could be neuroscience basketball, neuroscience golf, or well, golf. Yeah, still.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Sorry, go first.
Yeah. But it could be neuroscience, whatever. It's just like, because I do calisthenics, which is gymnastic derivated, and I found that it applies to an extreme in those principles for a reason, because calisthenics is hyper complex. Like, it's body workout to the extreme, achieving certain movement with your body that when people look at it, they're just like, where is the gravity? How do you do that? How from your arms you can lift up your body and you're like flat on the floor and you can go up that way without just by your core or your grip or whatsoever? It's just applying principle, a basic principle. The more you grip something, the more your brain will feel that it needs power and a lot of energy. It's a basic principle, but some people will try to do that with loose hands. No, put a grip on it. No, and that is one example, but it applies for everything. And in calisthenic, the beauty of this sport is that you discover muscle that you didn't even know they exist. So you discover your body completely. And it's maybe arrogant what I'm going to say, but I think that I control my body completely. Every single part of my body is under control. And this is what it brought me to do this type of training. So, and why is that? It's because I control my mind the same way. I never overreact. I never underreact as well. It's just like there is processes that you have to learn and to adapt. And the same processes are for sports. And if you go that way, you have to repeat them, because your brain, when it's plastic, has to memorize, and repetition create memories. And when they get wired in your brain, okay, let me put some bracket here.
Yeah.
You want to learn a movement, you want to learn a language, you want to learn some things. You start creating some neurons, okay? At the beginning, imagine your brain, and I want to go from point A to point B being the skill mastering. I'm at point A. I'm trying. I'm failing. So my neurons are connecting in erratic pattern and movement. I reach point B by luck, in a way. So I created a path that is a long, long path that goes everywhere. I repeat it. That path is reinforced. I'm creating more neuron. And at the end, when I've repeated enough, that path going from point A to point B is instead of being erratic and going everywhere, is a highway. It's a big highway full of neurons, and the signal take nothing to get from A to B. You master a skill, or you master a language, or you master whatever you're learning. This is the way it is done. So when you master the way that you learn, hyper-learning, and the way that you execute movement, you come to a certain ability to combine both and to become unbeatable, indestructible.
It's a little bit like when you drive, right? It's I
Yeah.
love doing the example, right? The first time you drive, you need to think, okay, I need to get the clutch and
And you look everywhere, and you're
everywhere.
frustrated on.
And then because you build that neural pathways, you can drive. Sometimes you can just think about life, and just before you know it, the body just goes on autopilot on, right?
That's it. And that's why people are watching their phone, because they're so used to drive that they think that it's driving by itself.
Yeah. Which, by the
somebody
way,
learning will never do that. Yeah.
Don't watch your phones while driving. And also in general, I think focus on one thing at a time, right? Like you don't watch your phone by talking with someone else. Don't do stuff like that. I think, could it be that if you fully focus about something, I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you fully focus to someone, because, to something, that people tend now, especially we have so many distractions. We do, I don't know, some people
multitasking. Yeah.
They multitask. I don't know. For example, they go to the gym and they do one set, and between sets they watch their phone.
They talk to somebody. They watch their phone. They take picture. They do all this crazy thing. Our brain, as simple as it is, doesn't like multitasking. Point is as simple as that. You want to be in the flow. This is the answer to flow. Do one thing. As you said, focus on one thing. The only way that you can get into the zone, into flow, is to do one thing at a time. If you start having distraction and doing multiple tasks, you're going nowhere.
We actually cannot do, apart from, I think there are a very small percentage of people who can actually multitask, but we cannot actually multitask. What we're doing is a task switching from one to another.
Except for language. I think that's the only one that you can kind of do multitasking. Like you can walk and talk at the same time. You're not pausing because those are natural movement, of course. But other than that, you are totally right. It's super difficult, but you can train to do two things at the time. And this is kind of interesting stuff to do.
Did you write about training how to do few things at the same time in your book?
Yeah, absolutely. I was training once and I was just challenging myself. I talked about it today. I was wearing the Oculus 3D vision stuff, and I was doing handstand and bar work and stuff like that. I wanted to, with the Oculus. And on the Oculus, I was watching scenes in the mountains with skydive, actually jumpsuits, people going across mountains. So very scary and thrilling stuff with a big emotional side of it. And at the same time, going into an handstand or into a planche or a movement like that, I wanted to see how the brain could trigger those pathways together. At the end of the day, what it was surprising is I could hold my movement way longer because my mind was there and it was not focusing on 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, one more. No, my mind was in another planet, Oculus planet, but my strength was like probably 10 times bigger, stronger than I usually am. And this is something that is very interesting. It proves us that we can increase our performances just by the strength of our mind, by putting the effort to have our mind in a certain way, in a certain path. And most people, they go lifting weight, for example, which is very common. They go to 5, 6, 8. Oh, I can't. No, I cannot. They just don't realize that they're just at 40% of their capacity. This is it.
Yeah, that's what you said is extremely true. And I guess, you see a pattern obviously on different topics, but that's also what Joe Dispenza says, Wim Hof says, right? On different things that your brain is so powerful. I can do so many things. That's amazing. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, because I can't leave this interview without asking you that, is so first of all, I want to say I'm very grateful that, even while we were chatting by email, you mentioned something very important, and I want to enforce that message because it is important that, there is no like cover your basics first with circadian rhythm, eating well, and move and socialize. Cover your basics first. Things that I think everyone knows. We just don't apply that, but everyone knows. And then use the biohacks to elevate yourself and just to go on the next level and, and to increase your performance. Don't use the biohacks as a quick fix to cover your basic, because it just that
doesn't exist. It doesn't work. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
The message that is important to enforce. And thank you for mentioning that, while we're chatting on email. However, I do want to know your best tricks or advice or biohacks specifically for weight loss, lean muscle mass, and also if your favorite gadgets in general. Okay. And your business is called Cyber Gains, so I can't.
Because of all the things of the performances going fast to a certain level. People they called me cyborg, so I keep that and I go like, it's pretty cool actually. So my favorite biohack, it's probably cold shower. I like that effect of the rush of adrenaline, and it's probably because it's close to what you can get when you do skydiving or other extreme sport. But I like the effect of cold shower. It's not a biohack, but it's a knowledge base. People don't know what is ultradian rhythm and circadian rhythm in general. Yeah, they heard about circadian rhythm, 24-hour cycle, you sleep and day. But ultradian rhythm is a 90-minute span during which you can focus, and another about 20 minutes and plus 90-minute time span during which you cannot focus. So if you know that sequence, you can work efficiently and you can work out efficiently and you can be in the flow. So you have to respect and know yourself and know when it's time to work, when it's not time to work. And people call it biohack. I just call it knowledge of your own body. And don't force. I see executives, I'm in the business industry. I see executives working 10 hours a day for the hell of what? They're not efficient. And when I go to meetings and I go like, I work 2 times or 3 times 90 minutes a day and I achieve way more things that you can do, they're just pissed off because they think I'm like not a fan of work, but it's not true. It's just like, know your ultradian rhythm. That's the best biohack. And cold shower. Well, meditation, they're all good. Everything is good as long as you use them efficiently. My tool for sport, if I have to execute sport, I like P-bars, parallels. It's a gadget that I'm using for a lot of stuff. But I think that the best biohacking tool that you can use for tool is a tracker of giving you some biofeedback of where you are, what you do, and if you do it efficiently or not. And it's probably the best investment you can do, having a tracker, getting some feedback on yourself. But hold on that. If you know yourself enough after having checked your reports, after a certain time, you don't need any tracker. You don't need any biofeedback. You just listen to your body and you know exactly where you are and how you feel and what is your SP2, SPO, or your cardiac rhythm. You know that. You don't need to have the value in front of it.
It's it's true. It's I love biofeedback, and I think a good tactic would be, right. Modern days, you can get like a tracker relatively affordably, and then obviously they can go on the higher hand, like more expensive as well. But I think after a while you start with the biofeedback, and then after a while because of the biofeedback. So let's say for me, in my case, it's heart rate variability. I pay a lot of attention to heart rate variability, and now I can almost
it's a good. Yeah, it's one of the best to follow. I agree on that.
But after a while, you get that feedback from a tracker. You can almost resemble, okay, when my heart rate variability is 90 ms, I feel this way. When it's around the 50 marks, I feel this way. And you can almost tell by the way you feel what your heart rate variability is. True. And then making action based on that. I know, and I'm sorry, I know we're running out of time, and I'm very.
For me, I have so much pleasure. So
yeah,
you can get the part that you don't like, and they just keep the good ones.
Yeah, no, look, I like everything, and I could literally keep going for hours. I love to talk, especially having conversation like this. It's cool. They makes me feel on the floor because they give me like a lot of adrenaline, and my day usually after a podcast interview, my day is just better because I feel so
accomplished.
Accomplished. It's nice to talk with inspiring people like you, but at the same time, I want to be very mindful and respectful of your time, right? So I don't want to just keep going on.
You are.
And but I have just a few more questions, and I promise. And
sure. Yeah.
Just because I could not avoid asking this question. So before you were mentioning about the rhythm, right? There are 90 minutes where you can get this stuff done, and there are 20 minutes where you cannot.
Take a walk during those 20 minutes because you have another 90 minutes after that you're not going to be productive.
Okay. So are you saying that from the moment we wake up, we have like cycles of like 90 minutes being productive?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's from the science perspective, it's due to the temperature of your body. So you are at the coldest point of your temperature at night. Let's say, for example, at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're going to wake up by 6:30. Don't work out at 7, but optimize your body before going to work out, and probably you're at your great spot to work out. You don't have to wait until 4, like people say you have to wait until your peak temperature is there. It's not true, but you're getting into that 90-minute open-minded focus zone at about 9 a.m. if you follow this 4, 6, and so in between 9 and 10:30, you're going to be in that zone. If you know yourself, if you know that you have to work, for example, work efficiently those 90 minutes. If you prefer to work out during those focus zone, workout. But what is important, when you exceed that 90 minutes, don't stay in front of your computer. Don't stay at the gym. It doesn't bring you anything. Take a walk outside. Do some things lighter for the next 60, 90 minutes. And then you're going to close to a second dose of 90 minutes and make it efficient. Make sure that you're going to use it efficiently. Don't sit on the couch doing nothing when you're there. Do some things on purpose. Live on purpose. That's it.
And I know it might sound complex to some people, and they might say, oh, how do I figure out? And so on. Guys, start paying attention, start being aware. And it's a process. It's going to take a while. Maybe it's going to take years. But then once you understand your body and how you work and how you feel after swimming to the ocean, I don't know, it's different for everyone. That's a real, like, it makes a whole difference. Do you talk about this concept in your book? Because I know that, this opens an array of other questions. Okay.
Yes. I talk about circadian rhythm and circadian, of course, is one of the crucial point of our lives. There's some data and reviews and published paper on some values that can help the people that are listening to the podcast to target the right moments. So from the top of my memory, I'm not sure, I don't have my notes here, but I think it's 4 hours after your coldest temperature that you are getting into that approximate zone, some things like that. But I can bring you back those values, so that helped. Of course, naturally you feel yourself, like in the morning you feel like, okay, oh, how come this morning I worked for an hour and I was just like so efficient? And sometimes I'm sitting at my desk for 3 hours and I've done nothing. Yeah, well, follow your rhythm. As simple as that.
Yeah, it's good. I personally started getting ton of shit done. Sorry for the word, in the morning. Talking about routines, I had an extensive routines of stuff, but I just find out that I naturally, after a certain time, after I've done it, like what I consider my basics, meditation and some movements and so on. Before I like to treat myself to go out for a swim and so on. But it's a period where I feel like I want to be productive with my super smart coffee, with the cordyceps and so on in front of the computer and doing some work, and that's it. And I feel productive. But when I feel, oh, this is coming down, that's where it's the moment to just go. And
that's it. Yeah, and take a walk. 10 minutes, 20 minutes outside. It's one of the best thing. If you can do it barefoot, you're gonna ground yourself at the same time. So it's another advantage as well. Get connected to the planet. Yeah.
Gianni, it's been like an absolute pleasure to speak with you. Like, you're such an interesting person, so knowledgeable.
Thank you.
Like, I know I need to force myself to stop, because otherwise I'm going to keep going asking questions. And
I love it. It was an immense pleasure for me to be here. It was super fun. It went on flow, actually. It was so easy.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I have to say, I like to let people know when someone is just you are a great person. Since the moment we spoke, obviously, let's be honest, like, you are very busy. Like, you run a lot of businesses, you have a family, and you have a magazine. Like, you are busy, but despite that, like, you remained. Let me say that you remained someone like very genuine and easy to talk with and so on. Like, you remain authentic, and that's a skill as well.
Thank you. I'm touched, but Renato, we are human, and there is no excuses. We are all busy. It's not an excuse to mistreat people or to be an asshole. We are human, and we need to share things and be kind to each other. The world is going to be better.
That is true. And that's why I invite people to follow you and to find out about what you do. It's, honestly, guys, it's for you. Like, I had the pleasure to be part of one of your magazine. I wrote an article on how
Thank you for that contribution. Yeah, it's fantastic. And more, this is my dream, Biohackers magazine. I think I acquired the magazine because I want to bridge the science and the biohacking community together and make one, and make this world a better place to live, because what we say in the magazine is just to improve lives. Point.
You're doing something very special, right? Because I'm going to try to put that into words that make sense. So first of all, you are opening up the Biohacks. You're doing multiple things with Bio magazine, and that's why I'm a big fan of it. And that's why probably I reached out to you, because I love the way you're doing. So you're doing few amazing stuff, and I think it's good that people know that. And so first of all, you are translating a lot of stuff that are complex for people to access to, and you're making them really, you're removing all the friction, right? You're making them affordable, ready to understand, very good to understand.
Accessible. Yeah.
Or accessible on a very good format. I love the layout that you've done on the magazine and so on, for people to understand. So you're giving the tool for people to understand what's biohacking and so on, without being too complex and without being exclusive just for a few people. Very, very important. The other things that you're doing, and that's, hats off to you. You are, because I've noticed even on the previous episode, you're giving a platform to other people who have a lot to say, but maybe they don't have yet a massive audience, but they do have like a lot of knowledge and a lot to say. You're giving a platform to those people to express their knowledge and to share their knowledge. And that's, and I think this is paying off, because I read also some of the article of, biohackers or doctors that I personally didn't know, I didn't follow. And them, like, they share content that is, in my opinion, superior to
high level.
Yeah.
Very high level, but still accessible. Knowledge is key. If we can educate people, people will first live longer and better, improve their life. But if they improve their own life, they're going to be improving life of others, people around them, their family, their friends. And so at the end of the day, it may be cheesy what I'm saying, but it's the path to a better world.
That's
point.
Yeah. That's true. So I do really invite people to check out Biohacks magazine, and especially because the one where Ben Greenfield was,
nice, yeah. On the
cover. I wrote an article on it, so you need to read that one, because I wrote an article on that magazine. Okay, listeners.
Thank you.
But also the others, and they can find out more also on. I think you got obviously your book, which I personally going to buy and read.
No, I'm going to send you one. No, you don't buy it.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That is called Neuroscience Calisthenics, right?
Yes. Neuroscience. Hijack your body clock. This is what I've done, actually.
That's good. And then your website, cybergains.com.
Yeah, cybergains. Yeah, the concept of neuroscience applied to sport. Yeah,
that's great.
Absolutely.
Anything else you think people should know on how to reach you out? Do you do events? Do you actually do? You should.
Yeah, I do. I it's just like as you said before, is putting the time to do things like that. I'd love to do more. We're going to be at the Biohacking Congress in Las Vegas on March 18 and 19. I'd love that. But fortunately and unfortunately, since I sold my company, I got way more busy because of a daily job in a corporate structure. And it's corporate America. It's a different story for me. I was an entrepreneur in my own life. So that rigidity changed my perception of everything. But, nothing is set in rocks and in concrete. So adaptation and then putting things in perspective. I want to do more. Yeah, I'm hyperactive. So I need to feed myself and to feed others.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want to go into business of congresses and summits and so on, I'm craving for someone to do something.
Yeah.
There's nothing in Australia about, those summits and congress and so on.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
It'll be amazing.
Let's do it. Seriously. Let's do it.
Let's be in touch. And, I do it because I'm selfish. I want to.
No, it's cool.
I don't want to travel every time to do a summit. I'm going to the guys. I'm going to the Biohacking Summit.
Very nice.
One from Team Grey. I'm trying to go in London in end of May, but every time I need to catch a plane for like 15 hours to go to the summit.
That's the thing. And Australia is a big country where actually there's a lot to do because the mindset of people in Australia is already open to get there. So it's an easy piece of cake. Okay, let's do it. Renato, honestly.
And people get, if people travel here, they get the beach and the bar.
That's it. Surf and
Hey, Gianni, it was an absolute pleasure having you on
the
show. For people who listen, I'm just going to put all your links and so on the show notes. But thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a fantastic pleasure.
Hey there, thanks for listening. Before we conclude, I'd like to remind you something very, very important. This episode, as well as these podcasts in general, is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Listeners should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have. Please, if you have any medical condition, consult your physician first. Disclaimer given, I would love for you to subscribe to this podcast and to leave me a review. That will help me a lot. We're just starting out. We have already a lot of great interviews down the line, which you don't want to miss. So hit the subscribe button so you will get notification for the next exciting episode. I'll see you next time. Hey there! If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. In fact, I'm recording this from your phone right now. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.